Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about Legacies, episode 407, titled Someplace Far Away from All This Violence, which premiered Thursday, December 2nd, 2021 on the CW. I'm so sorry for the delay, as I am recording on the 6th of December, right after midnight. I just saw it a few hours ago as the episode was available to me, guys, so I'm ready to talk about it. So, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Quick YouTube shoutouts to Golden Angel 15 and Maria Lira for their comments left on my 406 video. Truly appreciate it, but I also appreciate everyone who's watched that video and any of my previous Legacy videos. It means a lot to me that you're taking time out of your day to hear what I have to say. So thank you so much. And again, I apologize for the delay. A lot of stuff came up, but I'm ready to talk about it. Also, this one's been highly anticipated because of the promo and the fact that we're supposed to see a bit of a face-off between Hope and Dark Josie. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's start with what happened in this episode. Episode quote is actually of someplace far away from all this violence was actually said in the therapy box from Uncle Rick to Elizabeth. And yes, Uncle Rick, we'll get to him in a little bit. But the timeline, the events of the present day it's taking place the day after episode 406. 406 is when Caleb got the call from Ryan Clark about an Argus being on the loose at a certain location. And in this episode, Jed refers to that call happening last night. So that's something there. Episode reminder, I guess, would be the fact that it's supposed to be Josie versus Hope for sure. Probably not in the way we all thought it would be, but still pretty cool. But with that said, the future creature of the episode is still going to be Hope without her humanity, as well as the Argus creature that she set free from Triad last episode. So that's something there. It's definitely a creature with a whole bunch of eyes, and it seems like fire is what kills it from the looks of it, but it also looks like his victims could be turned into the new Argus. We'll get that later. But episode breakdowns, I picked up on 3 main storylines, and then some of those might have smaller ones inside of it, or steps at least. So first storyline being Humanity Hunt, second one being Tracking an Argus, and third one being Wild West Therapy. So with the first storyline, we have 3 parts of a plan happening, and this is regards to Hope pretty much dropping by the school because she's trying to get to Alaric's weapon stash. But instead, she strikes a deal with MG and Josie about how they want to try and reach her emotionally, and she won't kill them. In exchange, they will give her the weapons she needs. So plan A was MG's plan of Salvatore Idol, which was to get 10 students to express their deep connection to Hope, in hopes that their confessions would unlock her emotions once again. So we had Wade, we had little Pedro, we had Cleo pretending to be Landon with the illusion ring and reciting Landon's last letter to her, to Hope. We also have very quick roasting efforts from Hope to Ethan, Finch, and MG, which only puts the count to 6 people, so we don't know who the remaining 4 were. But suffice to say that plan fails. Plan B then is Weaken and Extract, and that is with Finch and Ethan not really having much of a connection to Hope, so they did their research about what it means for the humanity switch, and they learned that weakening the body first before attacking the switch is the start, so they wanted to drain Hope of her blood and then attack her. That didn't really go so well because, well, Hope could hear Ethan when he's invisible, and Josie was just not quick enough in her actual offensive attack at the beginning. Which leads to Plan C, which was the appearance of Dark Josie. Now, Dark Josie deals more with... Originally, she was going to snap her fingers and undo and switch the humanity back on like she did with Jade back in Season 2, but she knew that they wouldn't work on Hope because Hope is like Originals level now, and would mean a lot more magic on Josie's part. So instead, quick wit and trying to psychoanalyze each other, but eventually Hope traps Josie into the therapy box. And originally I thought Hope, first she freezes Josie from the looks of it through magic. At first I thought Hope was going to like kidnap Josie and take her with her kind of a thing, but instead she puts her in the therapy box. So that's going to be something there. So the second storyline, we're tracking an Argus. again, Argus, I'm still thinking of like Argus as in like the organization in the Arrowverse and not Argus as like a creature. So, anyways, for them we have Caleb and Jed tracking down the Argus in the woods based off of Ryan Clark's tip from the phone call I mentioned earlier. We have, in the end, Caleb having to use his dragon breath. We also find out that he has impenetrable dragon skin, since Argus couldn't chomp his way through Caleb's skin. But the dragon breath, breathing fire, is what killed the Argus. Though Caleb and Jed find the dead body of one of his victims coming alive again, maybe as the new Argus. He had a lot more eyeballs than he originally had. But yeah, don't know what's going to continue on from that point. But we do have a stronger bond and some advice happening between Jed and Caleb, which we'll talk about later. And the third storyline is Wild West Therapy, and this is with Lizzie's time in the therapy box, as at the end of the previous episode she decided that she needed a little bit more help. So with Lizzie, or we'll say Elizabeth, she is on a mission to clear her father's name in the burning of the school, and to also find her missing sister Josette. This is where we have Uncle Rick coming in, because we have Alaric essentially split in the therapy box, where we have teacher Alaric being the father of Elizabeth and Josette, while Uncle Rick is the twin brother of said father, but he's also the vampire hunter version of the real Rick. So there's that. Eventually, in the end, Elizabeth ends up killing vampire Josie, Tribrid Hope, and then realizing that she has to be... I think what she realized to get out of the therapy box was that she's going to have to do... she's going to have to hunt down Hope and kill her. I think she's definitely doesn't seem like she's on the same wavelength as Josie when she's leaving the therapy box. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But the last scene of the episode shows Hope making a threatening call to the Triad Lady, who we still don't know a name or can place the voice to. But Hope is ready to track them down now that she has Alaric's weapon stash in her possession. So there's that. So let's move on to characters very quickly. For Jed, thankfully, he had more screen time in this episode, which I'm happy about. But we also find out a little bit briefly about when he first became a werewolf, and he said he doesn't want to go into details about what he did to become a werewolf, but he talks to Caleb about forgiving himself in regards to the actions he did against the Super Squad, just like how Jed had to forgive himself on what he did to activate his werewolf gene. But he doesn't go into details on what he did to do that. So that's a little something there. For Cleo, her side story for the episode was her trying to figure out if she should tell the Super Squad about the tree that could kill a tribrid. She confides in her astral projected version of Caleb, which is her subconscious representation of Caleb, for advice about it. But eventually she decides, originally she was going to tell them, but now after the day she decides to keep the tree's purpose to herself, from the sounds of it, just because she doesn't want that information going into the wrong hands, which makes sense in a way. So there's that. Tidbits. There is actually quite a few references to the Vampire Diaries in this episode, more specifically in the not specifically the therapy box, but so the first reference is back to season 6, to Caroline's time without her humanity. Josie brings it up when she was reading Alaric's journals about the humanity switch, and it was brought up specifically Caroline's time without her humanity, how finding out that she burnt the last letter from her mom before she died, how the burning of that letter is what she will never get back is what switched Caroline's humanity back on. So they're that is what inspired the idea of Salvatore Idol, in hopes of getting an emotional response from Hope by kind of replicating the same thing. We also get Uncle Rick in the therapy box naming his pistols after Damon and Stefan Salvatore. Literally, the pistol's name is Stefan and Damon, and Lizzie actually said their names. So there's that. We also have Uncle Rick talking about his wife, Isabel, who was turned into a vampire, and who he pretty much dedicated his life as a vampire hunter to track down the other vampires who turned her. So that's literally season 1 of the Vampire Diaries right there. So that was pretty cool there to actually get into specifics about the original show. instead of just the indirect mentions. So that's something there. Another tip is the fact that we don't actually see the present day Alark or Landon in the real world. We do see Landon in an illusion spell and Alark in the therapy box, but that's pretty much it. But the last time we saw them was in Limbo, reunited with Ted, the former necromancer. So there's that. So let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I think it was the fact that there was an Uncle Rick to begin with in the therapy box, or even the amount of time we spent in the therapy box set in an old Western theme. Was not expecting that. I thought we wouldn't even be privy to what Lizzie endures in her therapy box session. But also, when she was getting rescued from Caleb the vampire in the box, I was wondering who else it could be. Never thought it would be Uncle Rick, since we already saw Alark as her father in a jail cell. So that was kind of a surprise that they made him a twin in this therapy. So that was kind of interesting there. So let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. I will say it was very interesting to see Hope going against Dark Josie. What they were talking about and like the dynamic between them was just very interesting. It was interesting to see Josie be in charge of Dark Josie in a way, and how like she needed her to do what needed to be done, essentially. It was just like a weird power dynamic, and I know it's something like a lot of people in the fandom wanted to see happening, and I know it was very interesting to see the difference of a dynamic when Hope was interacting with Dark Josie versus when Hope was interacting with regular Josie, and then also vice versa as well. When both parts of Josie were interacting with Hope, you get 2 very different sides. So it's very interesting to see all the different combinations we got in that. I mean, part of me did hope that Dark Josie would just have to snap her fingers and like bring Hope's humanity back, but I know it wouldn't be that simple. But then also part of me would hope that like regular Josie could also bring back Hope's humanity as well, because bring back to the part how like Hope originally is the one who helped Josie break free from Dark Josie. So it's like Josie wants to return the favor in a way. So it's like, yeah, so there's that. Another favorite I did have was Landon's letter to Hope. Just the idea that he had one prepared and that he was pretty much telling her, like, he already knew if this letter ever got to Hope, he knew like what steps had to be taken to have gotten to that point. So it's like he was pretty much covering all of his bases, and it was really, and I thought she was affected by the letter, like with the way that she was, her body language during that whole speech. I thought she was affected by his words, because I know that there was a lot of things where it's like it's deeply covered. And then also there's a part of me that thought they might have pulled the same thing, like Caroline burning the letter, and maybe they would have burnt the letter from Landon, kind of a thing. But like, it was a really great moment between the two, and I wish that was also the trigger, and then I also wish it wasn't, because I didn't want Hope's humanity to be always tied to Landon and whether he lived or died, kind of a thing. But yeah, it was still a good moment to hear his wishes for Hope, and how he wanted her to continue living even though he couldn't be there with her. And just, yeah. So that was a great thing there. And then another favorite was just all the actual Vampire Diaries references that we got, and the reminders and the callbacks that we got. That was really great of a reminder to go back to. Now, what were my top 3 peeved moments? One peeve I had was the fact, the vibe I got from Lizzie when she was leaving the therapy box as Josie was entering it, it gave me the impression that Lizzie plans to kill Hope. And I don't think that was the purpose of her going into the therapy box. It's a peeve because I'm worried of what this means, kind of. So that's something there that I know we'll have to wait and see to find out. But the other peeve I did have was just Salvatore Idol in general. I mean, it was too amusing to really take seriously. I know MG was trying his best and trying to do something that didn't lead to violence, and it led to everybody's safety. But at the same time, it's like when you look back on all the 10 people that were supposedly supposed to bring Hope's humanity back on, they're people that weren't of any consequence to Hope. Yeah, Wade and Pedro said their piece, and they're really sweet and sentimental about it. But then we don't know who the other 4 people were. Landon was probably the first one. You don't, like Ethan and Finch said, they had no real connection to Hope, so why are they even considered as the other 2? And then MG didn't even get a chance. So it's like the idea, like, yeah, good in purpose, but I would have preferred the actual top 10 people who would like actually stand a chance of having Hope flip her switch. But like, yeah, that's going to be more of like a cast availability type thing. Or why couldn't he do a head dive? That's a question there. Why couldn't MG do a head dive to the top 10 moments in Hope's life that brought true emotion to her? Right? It's like, why couldn't they do that? Anyways, let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, would Vervain hurt Hope at all? I mean, it had some effect. We definitely know it affected regular vampires. It had some effect on the original vampires. And I think to some extent it affected hybrids too, but I don't know how much differently than an original vampire. So I'm wondering, would Vervain even affect a tribrid at all? Because, like, I'm wondering, could they have used that to, like, maybe, like, put her unconscious or something? Or I don't know. So there's that. Another question. The Argus monster couldn't bite through Caleb's skin due to his dragon skin toughness. So I'm wondering, does that mean Caleb's skin is now indestructible against everything? Or is it just being indestructible against other monster creatures? Because if it is option A and his skin is now indestructible, that would make it really hard to stake Caleb. Like, can a wooden stake even kill a vampire dragon hybrid, or does that have to be a combination of something else? So that's something there. Okay, third question. What do you think Jed did to activate his werewolf gene? He said something along the lines of, like, I did what I had to do, which has me wondering that maybe it was a self-defense reason why he activated his werewolf gene. And he knew from the start he already had that gene, or maybe he was like Raphael and he had no idea. But I feel like he did know that he was from a werewolf bloodline. So I'm wondering, like, what did Jed do? Like, I'm very interested that we got a little bit more of his backstory, but I wish we got a bit more, you know? So that's a question there. Another question. Was it just me, or did Hope seem emotional when she saw dark Josie reverting back to normal Josie? It kind of looked like it, like the way she held herself for Hope. And it was like, is she affected? Like, she's on guard with Dark Josie, but then, like, she let her guard down with regular Josie, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe that's just me hoping, you know. No pun intended. So there's that. Another question. Who were the werewolves that found Jed in the woods when they were taking on the Argus monster? Or, like, were they students... Were they werewolves from the school, or was it from another pact? Was it from his family pact? I don't know. It just seemed like very coincidental that a group of werewolves would stumble upon them. Also, that's the thing too, because, like, was it a full moon? Because if it was a full moon, Jed would have had to have been a werewolf as well too. But all these wolves were already wolves, so it has me thinking they're hybrids, which I don't think they are, because there aren't, as far as I know, there aren't any hybrids left. Or wouldn't they be wolves that are part of the Crescent Clan due to the unification between Jackson and Haley all those years ago? And they would still have the ability to transform at will. So I'm wondering, or like, what's up with the wolf pack? Like, you know what I mean? So that's a bigger question in itself, because we know they weren't just regular wolves because their eyes glowed yellow when they were ready to face off against the Argus creature. So that's something there. And the last question, was it just me, or was Hope's hair darker? Like, it was either like a dark brown, or it was like on the verge of being black, or was that just me and the lighting? No idea. Please let me know in the comments down below for any of the questions I posed. Please have your answers or your interpretations down in the comments. I'd love to hear all about it, please. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 408, it looks like Hope is ambushed in a bar. We have Cleo not thinking that Hope is returning, but also telling Lizzie about the tribrid tree. I still think it's a white oak tree, but they haven't confirmed what type of tree it is, so I'm calling it a tribrid tree. And we also see Hope getting into a bar fight, which could be with a lot of supernatural creatures. Maybe with triad people, maybe not. We don't know yet. But the synopsis reads, though, that Hope finds herself on a dangerous undertaking. Josie goes deep for answers as Lizzie asks Cleo for inspiration and is surprised as to where she finds it. Meanwhile, Landon continues his mission for peace. Okay, Hope finds herself in a dangerous undertaking, could deal with what's happening at the bar. Josie goes deep for answers, is going to be her time in the therapy box. Lizzie asks Cleo for inspiration and is surprised as to where she finds it. That's probably her finding about the tribrid tree. And then Landon continues his mission for peace. That's probably going to be whatever he is doing in limbo with Alaric and Ted. But we're going to have to wait and see to find out next week. So that's about it, guys. What did you guys think about this episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that stuff found in one place. So yeah, should probably go check in on that now that we're into the holiday spirit now. So maybe I should pop back into Tumblr and update a bunch of stuff. I'll add that to the list of things I need to do. Also, don't forget to check out my WordPress account. Link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. Otherwise, guys, that is about it. Thank you so much for your patience. I am sorry for the delay. A lot of things kept piling up for me, and it's like that needed to be priority over getting this video out. Even though I also didn't have access to it, because I should also say I didn't watch it on the Thursday because I was actually graduating on Thursday. So I kind of needed my priority to be over my graduation ceremony and like catching up with my fellow graduates than watching a Legacies episode, which I love, of course, but I could always catch it again later on a rerun or online somewhere, or through my PVR once I got back home. So graduation took priority over on Thursday night. So that is kind of why you also got this delayed and why I didn't just have everything prepped and ready to go a lot sooner. So thank you again for the patience. Thank you for just checking in with me. But I hope you guys come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. We have this one and 409 before we go off into the holiday break. So until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.